So I'm going to create a new project, right? So let me go here and then create a new project. Create a new project so that we can do everything from scratch. All right. So maybe I'll just call it let me call it a virtual keyboard. I'm just gonna shorten it to say V keyboard. All right. All right, and the rest is fine. So I'm just gonna create it and create it in this particular window. Right. I don't want to duplicate this thing over here. So this is what we're gonna have. So let me even close this one, and or maybe it's fine, supposed to be there. Let me open and then delete whatever is inside, then we can create it over there, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is to install the various libraries that we're going to use. Okay, we're going to install the libraries that we're going to use. So we're going to use two different libraries over here. So I'm going to go to PyCharm preferences, and once I am here, I'm going to go to my project over here, and I'm going to go to Python interpreter, and I'm going to click on this plus sign, right? And here you're going to first install OpenCV, right? So OpenCV-Python, right? OpenCV-Python, right? That's what you're going to do, and then you install it. Okay. Okay, once that is done, the next library that you need to install is what is called CV Zone, right? So you type CV Zone, right? CV Zone, then it is right there, and then you install it. Okay. All right, so that is also installed. Everything is fine. Now I can just close these ones over here. Right now, once you're done, what you have to do is to now import the libraries. So I'm going to import let me import CV2, right? I'm going to import CV2. Let me make it bolder so that you can see it clearly. So once I do this, I'll import the rest of the libraries later on, but for now let's deal with this one. Okay, so once I've done this one, the next step that I'm going to do is to read set up my camera. Okay, I'm going to set up the camera which we are going to use. So I'm going to do CV2. I'm sure by now you know how to set up your camera. Okay, CV2.video capture, and then inside here I put 0 over there, right? And I'm going to store everything in cap, right? All right. Now once I do that, I can now do I can now put it in a while loop, right? So I can do while true, right? While true, then I can do sources comma img equals cap.read, right? All right. Then once I do this, then I can read the image. So I can do cv2 dot imshow, right? And then I can do I'm just gonna call it camera, right? And here I'm going to put in the img. Okay, then I do cv2 dot wait key. Okay, then I put 1 over there, right? So if I run this one, I'm supposed to see the camera. Okay, I'm supposed to see the camera on. So let's run that and see. All right, so now you can see that the camera is actually showing. Okay, you can see that the camera is on, right? And it's actually showing. All right, so I'm sure by now you should be able to also do that. So let me just close it. Now we're going to put the keyboard on top of the the camera, right? On top of the image that the camera is showing us. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to set up the size of the keyboard that we're going to put over there, right? Basically the size of the image that the camera is going to show us. All right, so I'm going to do cap dot set, right? And then inside the set, I need to provide the width and then the value for that. The width is represented by 3, and here I'm going to give it a value as 1280, right? And then I'm also going to do cap dot set again, and then I'm going to give that is the height. Right now I'm setting the height is represented as 4, and I'm going to give it as 720. Okay, 720. So let me just run this one. It's just going to show the new size that we have set for the camera. Okay, now you see how this one is, right? If I take that one off, right? So let me take them off, and then you'll see how it used to be, right? Let me rerun it, right? So this is how it used to be, right? And then I have set the new size over here, right? So if I run it again, Okay, so now this is what we have. It's a bit bigger. Okay, so that we can actually put the camera on, I mean, we can actually put the keyboard on top and it will fit very fine. All right, so once I do that, we're going to now set a hand tracker, right? The hand tracker is actually going to help us track our hand as we bring it on top of the screen. Okay, right now if I put my hand over there, there's nothing, right? There's nothing, but we're going to put a hand tracker on top of the screen so that we can be able to detect the hand tracker. So for that, I'm going to import one model from the CV zone that we actually installed. Okay, so I'm going to do import CV zone, right? Import CV zone. Actually, let me do this. Let me do from CV zone, right? Because I'm going to import a different model from the CV zone itself. So from CV zone dot hand tracker dot hand tracking model, right? Import, and I'm going to import hand detector. Okay, come on, this is the one that I'm going to import. Okay, now once I do that, then I can initialize that hand detector that we've just imported, right? So I'm just gonna copy it, then I'll come down here to here, somewhere here, right? And then I'll put it over there, and then I'm going to initialize it, right? And I have to set the detection confidence. Okay, I'm going to set the detection confidence over here. That is, how confident are we that our hand is being detected. Okay, so I'm going to say 80%, right? At 80%, we want to be 80% confident that our hand is being detected. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. All right, right now if I run this one, let me just stop and then run it. So now it's going to say that no module named media pipe because we've not actually installed media pipe. All right, so what we're going to do is to go to let's go to PyCharm, and then we go to preferences. Okay, and then here we're going to under projects, we're going to click on this plus, and then we're going to install media pipe. Okay, we're going to install media pipe, so just install that. Right, just taking a couple of seconds, then it will be done. All right, okay, now I see that it's installed, so I'm just gonna close everything and go back, and then try to run it again and see. Okay, so we have some error here. Hand detector object has no attribute to read. Line number 11 is causing a trouble. Okay, this is supposed to be let me name this one as detector. All right, detector, something like it's not supposed to be a cap. All right, so let me try to rerun it and see. All right, so this is what we have. Let's see what is there. All right, so now it's actually not showing us anything. Right, it's not detecting anything. Now, in order to actually make it work and detect your hand, what we're going to add next is to add two statements, right? We're going to use one to find the hands, and then the other one to find landmark points on the hand. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go to this. Let me put it over here, right? So here I'm going to do detector. So the detector that we just created, right? I'm going to copy that. I'm going to copy that one, and then I'm going to bring it over here, right? And then I'm going to do dot find hand, right? Dot find hands. Okay, so this is what is going to help me find the hand, right, on the image, right? That is on the camera that we are displaying. Okay, and then once I do that, I'm going to store this one in. That's gonna become the new image that we have. So that's gonna be img, right? So we have indentation here. All right. Now once this is done, then we're also going to find the positions, right? So dot find positions, right? So I'm going to do dot find. Now if you see, if you do find positions and you are not seeing it over here, right? For instance, even if I try to write it in full, this is what we want, right? Dot find, not find hands, but find positions, right? So we're supposed to see this one, right? But you can see that it's not there, so it's somehow highlighted, right? It's somehow highlighted. So it's because in the current version of MediaPipe, you're not going to have find position in there. It's actually depleted. They've actually deleted from it, right? So if you have a problem like this, right, what you have to do is that you have to go back and then degrade the CV zone. Okay, degrade the CV zone and also degrade the media pipe that you're using, right? Because in both CV zone and media pipe, we cannot find the function find positions in there, right? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back here and we're going to go to preferences, right? Now, when you go to the preferences, what you're going to do is that you're going to do again CV zone, right? In this case, you're going to downgrade it. If yours is working, you don't need to do this one. But if it's not working, like as you can see, my own is not working, so I have to downgrade it. Okay. All right. So here, you can see that we have version of here over here, specify version. So click on that and choose something like let's see, choose something like 1.4.1. okay, choose something like that and then install. Right, we are downgrading it because the current version is 1.56, which in that one you will not find that find position function in there. So that's why we're downgrading it to 1.4.1. okay. Now, once this is done and it's installed successfully, then we're going to do the same thing for the media pipe. Okay, so I'm doing media pipe over here, and then I'm going to go here and I'm going to downgrade this one to let me downgrade it to say 0.8.0. okay, let me install that. All right, so I've downgraded both of them. Now let me go back and then let me see. Now let me delete this one and then start to write it again. You see that it's just going to now work. Okay, now you see that find position is there, right? Because we've downgraded to the earlier version, right? So I can now use that one. All right, so that's what you need. Okay, and then you're going to find the position on the image, right? And once you do that, this one is going to give you the landmarks. Okay, so I'm just gonna call that one landmark list, and also it's going to give you a bounding box, right? Remember, we've learned the bounding box, so I'm just gonna go with say BB box, right? Something like that. All right, BB box info. Okay, so this is what you're gonna have. Okay, let me just rerun it and see if everything works fine so far. So let's see if everything, now you see that it's trying to detect my hand, right? So if I show it to the camera, now you see that it's there, right? So now you see that we are able to detect the hand correctly, right? And then with the bounding box around it as well. Okay, and that's what we want to do. So let me go back over here. What I want to do now is I want to create rectangles which I'm going to put the various keys, right? So for instance, I have, let me show you this, creating the thing. Okay, so I have this one. So as you can see, we have each of the keys, right? Each of the, for instance, we pick say key Q, right? There's a square box or rectangle box or whatever you want to call it, and then the text Q is on top of that. Okay, so that's what I want to create right now. Okay, that's what I want to create right now. So let's see how I'm going to we are going to do that, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do cv2, right? cv2 dot let me push this one to be inside of the while loop. I'm going to do cv2 dot and then I'm going to do use rectangle. Okay, cv2 dot rectangle, and inside here I'm going to put the rectangle on my image. Okay, and then I have to set the initial point and the ending point. Okay, so let's say the initial point is say 100 by 100, all right, something like that, and then the ending point let's say is 200 by 200. I mean, it's just hypothetical. If it's not right, we can just come back and change it. All right, and then the color that we want. So remember, this one is BGR, that's black, green, and then red, right? So depending on the color that you want your keyboard to be, right? So let's start with black. Okay, so I want it to be black, so I'm going to do 255,0,0. All right, and after that, the thickness that we want. So let's say let me put the thickness to be 2, and then let's see what happens. And then we need to put a text on top, right? That is, if it is the keyboard is something like say Q, right, we need the text, or if it's W, we need a text on top of the key. So let's see how it is. I'm going to do that. I'm going to use cv2 dot put text, put text. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Then inside here, I'm going to put a text on my image and the text that I want. Okay, so let's say I'm going to put the text Q, right? And once I do that, I mean comma over here, right? And then the origin, that is the position that I want to put this text. So let's say I want to put it at say 120 by let's say 180 or something like that. Okay, and then that's fine for us. And then I'm going to, let's put this one in bracket like that. Okay, I need one more over here. Okay, and then once we do that, we need to also specify the particular font that we're going to use. Okay, so cv2.font. Okay, so I'm just going to use this one, font simplex. And the font scale, let's put it to be say 3, right? And then I'm going to put the color, right? The color, let's see, I want to put the color to be say pure white, so I'm gonna be 255 comma 255 comma 255. Okay, that will give us a white color. And once I do that, what comes next is the thickness, right? The thickness of the of that color, I'm just gonna put it as say 4. Okay, now let's try this so far and see what we have. So let me just rerun it and see. Okay, so this is what we have. You see that we have the rectangle, right? It looks like square, but you use rectangle rectangle function to plot it. And then we have the Q inside. Okay, so I can instead of this, I can actually fill it, right? I can use cv2.fill instead of giving this one over here. I can do cv2.fill, right? It's cv2.filled. All right, I can do that one. So let me just rerun it and see. Great. Now see, this is how it is. So let me see, let me push this one a bit. So I'm just drawing them out. Let's say this one goes to somewhere like 125, and let me increase this one to say 5. I mean, you can just play around with these things to see what works best for you. All right, let me push this one to say 5, and then let me rerun it. Oh, I think I messed it up. I've messed it up. All right, so let me reduce this one again to 120, right? And let me rerun and see. It's still a mess. And then I'm going to reduce this one to 2. All right, let's see. It's better, right? Maybe let me put it to say, let me put it to 3. Okay, this one is not bad. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. And I said the color I want black, so how did it become green? All right, so let me do this one here. Why did it become blue? I want this one. I mean, it's BGL, so I use blue, right? Blue, green, and then it's blue, green, and a red. So if I put 255 here, which means that I want blue, but actually I want black, so I want all of them to be 00. So I mean, not that. Let me rerun. Okay, now I see that now the color is black now. All right, so that's basically what I wanted to do. Okay, so we are done with that part. Now the next one that we're going to do is that we can actually so we've been able to create this one button here, but if we want to create all the buttons, right, if we want to create all these buttons, it means that we have to repeat all the process as many times as the keyboards, the keypads that are here. Okay, we have to do that, but we can actually simplify that by creating a class for these buttons. Okay, by creating a class for these buttons. So let me show you how we're going to do that, so that we'll be able to use the class to replicate the keyboard keys or the keyboard buttons. All right, so let me what I'm going to do next, so I'm just going to go over here, right, and then here I'm going to do, let me push this down a bit. I'm going to do class, and then the class name that I want, so I'm just going to name it as say button. Okay, all right, something like that. And then inside here I have to create a function for the initial instance of that. Okay, so I'm going to do def underscore init. Okay, so that's the initialization over there, right? And then inside here, I'm gonna have the self is going to help me assess whatever I'm going to put over here. Okay, so I'm going to assess the position, right? The position of the keys, and also the test on the key, all right, and the size. Okay, and the size of the key, right? So the size, we can even initialize it, right? So earlier on we say 100 by 100, all right? So we can actually do that one. We can even initialize it. All right, now to assess these things, what you do is this. As I said, you can use the self to assess whatever is in that class instance over there. So I'm going to do self.pose, right? Self.pose, and I'm going to, that is going to be the position, right? And then you do again self.test, right? So this time I'm going to assess the test, and that's going to be whatever test that I'm going to provide. Okay, whatever test that I'm going to provide. And then I'm going to do self, right? I'm going to do self.size. Okay, self.size, and that is going to be whatever size that I'm going to provide. So once I do this, instead of these things, right, instead of these ones being here, I can now bring them up here. Okay, so let me copy them, and then maybe let me comment them out from here. Okay, and then I will bring them inside the class that we are creating. Okay, I can bring them inside here. Now once we do this, now we can now use this class, right? We can now use this class inside the the while loop, right? So I'm just gonna put it over here. Okay, and then I can give the position, right? Remember, inside the class we have this function over here, which is going to contain the position, the test, and then the size. Okay, so the position, what I'm going to give is this. It's going to be 100 by 100 over here, right? 100 by 100, and I'm going to give the test. Okay, the test is going to be Q. Let's say initially, let's make it Q, all right? And we can give the size, but we have already given the size up here, right? We have initially given the size here, so we don't actually need to bring the size again, right? So I can just call this one say my button, right? Something like that. All right, we can just call it like that. All right, so let's run this one so far and see if everything is fine or there's some errors somewhere. Right, so let's see. Okay, so everything is fine. Now what we're going to do is that over here we're going to make it more generic. Okay, we're going to replace the values so that it will become generic. Okay, so I'm going to put self.position, right? Instead of manually putting here, I'm going to put this one over here, right? And this one is actually the x and the y value. So let me add something more here, right? So the self position itself is going to give us an x and y values, right? It's going to give us x and y position values. That's what I have to do over here, right? And then the size is going to give us the self.size is going to give us the width and then the height. Okay, it's going to give us the width and then the height. So maybe I'll just call it w and h, something like that. Okay, it's going to give us something like that. So when I come here, instead of this, I'm going to put x plus width, right? X plus width, x plus width, which is going to be w. Okay, and then here I'm going to put y plus h. Okay, something like that. And this one I'm going to put self.test over there, right? Instead of this q, I'm just gonna put self.test. I'm just trying to make everything generic. Okay, and here instead of this, I'm gonna put say x plus something, x plus 20. What I'm doing is that if we have the keyboard, if you have the keys on the keyboard, right, we want some spaces in between them, right? If you see the one that we have, right, from key Q to key W, right, there's space in between them, right? From key W to E, there's a space in between them. So that's what I'm trying to do over here. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do over here. And then this one I will do y plus say let's say y plus 65. Okay, right, because there's supposed to be a distance between them as well when you're going down, right? So for instance, the distance between key W and key A and key A, there should be some distance over there. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it. Now let's run it so far and see if everything is fine or there's some errors over there. Okay, it's good. I think the size we need to let's see. Let's make this one 60 over here. Let me see. Let me rerun and see. Supposed to actually increase it. So instead of that, I'm gonna put something like, say, let's say 75 and see how it's going to be. Okay, it's better, right? Let's increase it a bit, maybe 78, and see if it's so lie right in the middle. Okay, now I see that it's perfect, right? It's perfect. Now, what is going to happen is that these ones that we have outside the loop are going to run only once, right? However, whatever that we have inside the loop is going to be running over and over again, okay? Over and over again. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create a function which is going to contain the rectangle and that is the button, right? It's going to contain the button and also the rectangle at the background over there, so that we'll be able to draw it over and over again as the camera keeps on streaming over and over again, because that's what is going to happen over here, right? Meanwhile, this one is just drawing once and the camera keep on looping over and over again. So we're going to create a function over here which will take care of that, right? A function to draw on the image each time the camera gives us an image. Okay, so we're going to so let me push it here. So I'm going to do def, and then I'm going to do draw, right? And then this one is going to ask for an image. Okay, this one is going to ask for an image, and then we're going to return that image. Okay, we're going to return that image. So it's going to ask for an image that is the camera to be on, so that you can put this this rectangle and the text on top. Okay, that's what is going to happen. So instead of this button being here, now I can put the button up there, right? Let me comment it out. I can put it outside the loop. Okay, I can put this button outside the loop. So now we can go and then call this my button over here, and this my button is going to access the draw over here, right? Which is going to be simple for us. So I'm going to do that over here, dot draw, right? And then I'm going to send in the image, right? Once I do that, I can also receive back the image after I have drawn the rectangle and the text on top. Okay, once I do that over here, I use the function to draw rectangle and also the text, right? I put it on top of whatever the camera is going to, the frame that the camera is working on. Okay, all right, so now if we run this one, it's just gonna do the same thing that we have done so far. Okay, if there's no errors, I think name X is not defined. Okay, so we have to let me go up here. We define the X. Let me see. I think I used capital X over here, and then I'm using small x, something like that. Oh, okay, now I know it's outside the function, right? So let's put it over here. All right, so let's run it and see if everything is fine or there's some errors. Okay, now you see that everything is working very fine, right? We're not actually going to see much changes over there, but as soon as we finish putting everything together, you're going to see how it's going to work out. All right, so let's see if we can actually reduce the size of the box and the text a bit. Okay, so that they will actually going to fit, because this is just one and it looks a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to go here. Where should I do that? Here I'm just gonna change, let's say 80 by 80. Let's keep it as, say, 80 by 80. Okay, and also the text size, let's leave the text size the same. Okay, and let me just rerun this one and see. Okay, I think I need to reduce the text size as well. So let me come here and this one, let me reduce it to, say, 3, and let's see. Okay, I still need some reductions over there. All right, so I'm going to reduce this one to, now it's small. Now I have to push it up a bit. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this one. Instead of 78, I'm just going to reduce this one to Let's put it at 70 and see. Okay, let's push it above. So I'm just gonna put it here as say 68 or something, or 65. Let's see. It's better, right? All right, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay. All right, so now what we can do is to just so now we have only one button, which is the button Q. Okay, only one button, which is the button Q. So if we want more buttons, we can just replicate that. Okay, so for instance, if I add more buttons here, so let me call this one my button 1, and then maybe this one, what button comes after that? W. Okay, so let's call this one, say W. All right, and maybe let's do one more. Okay, let's do one more down here. All right, so this one I'm gonna call it instead of W, I'm gonna call it E. Okay, so let's do that. Let's call this one E. All right, and that's basically what you have to do, and then we keep on changing the position as well. Okay, because they cannot all be at the same position. Okay, so this one should be here. All right, now once you do that, let me call this one 2. Okay, and then you come down here, right, and then you will duplicate this one as well. All right, you just do it like that. So this one is going to be the my button 1, and this one is going to be the my button 2. Okay, something like that. So let's rerun it and see. All right, now you see that they are there. Okay, you see that they are there. So you can just keep on doing it, right? You can just keep on with replicating these things. So if I do one more, right, I can do one more, and then this one after E there's R. Okay, so I can just call this one, say R. All right, and then this one, say my button 3. Right, and when I come here, I can just replicate again, and then call this one 3. All right, something like that. And then if I rerun now, instead of up to E, I'm gonna have the R to also come. Okay. All right, so now you see that we have it. I think I did not change something over here, so it's just printing the same thing for me. Okay, position, right? The position here, I need to do this, right? I did not change the position, so let's rerun. Okay, now see that we have it there. So you can just do it like that, and you're going to have all the keys over there, right? All the keys over there. All right, so now what we can do is that we can simplify this. So instead of just duplicating these things, we can even make it simpler by putting everything in the form of a list. Okay, so let me actually show you what I mean by that. So I'm just gonna go, I'm just gonna do it over here, right? So all right, so I'm going to do for I in now I need to give a range, that is how many buttons that I'm going to create, right? So initially, let's say I'm going to create, let's say 4 buttons. So for I in range, right, in range 0 to 5, right, 0,5 over here, right? And then once I do that, let me actually create an empty list over here, right? And then I'm just gonna call it button list. I'm just gonna call it the button list. Okay, it's just an empty list. Okay, so for I in this, for I in range, then I'm going to do this. I'm going to append all the buttons that I want inside that empty list that I have here, right? So I'm going to do dot append, and then I'm going to append, let me just copy one of them, right? So I'm just gonna copy one of the buttons over here, and then I'll bring it over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is that for each of the white, so this is the width, right? The 400 is the width, the 100 is the height. So I can do the width multiplied by whatever I value that is going to be there, right? So if it is 1, then it's going to be in the first position, right? It's going to just multiply by, so let's maybe start with 100. Okay, so if it is, if remember the range here is 0 to 4, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if I is 0, then nothing is going to be printed over there, but if I is 1, then it's going to be 100 by 100. Okay, if I is 2, then it's going to be 200 by 100, right? So that's gonna be, we're going to have something like 200 by 100 300 by 100. If I is 3, it's going to be 300 by 100. If I is 4, it's going to be 400 by 100. Okay, so that is how I'm doing it over here. All right, and then okay, initially let's leave everything to R. We will change it respectively. Okay, now once I do that, I can just comment out everything that I've done over here, right? So let me just comment them out and leave the first one. Okay, let's leave the first one and comment everything else out. All right, I'm just gonna comment everything out. Now, in order to see what is happening, let's actually go and then comment out this one, like this dev that we created up here, right? Let me comment those ones out so that it will actually draw it during the initialization stage. We can actually see what is really happening, right? And we need to also comment these things out. Okay, we need to comment them out because we are not going to use them, and besides, they will occupy the same position that we want to put this one. Okay, we want to put them at the same position that these ones were there, right? And let's actually run it so far and see if everything is fine. Okay, so I'm just going to run it over there, right? Okay, great. Now you see that is there, right? You see that it's running, but they are all like RRR because that's the key, the only key that is there. Okay, let me give some space so you can see that even the first one is just almost getting out, right? So let me do this. Let me just add say plus 50 over here, right? And then rerun it. Okay, see that now it's working fine over here. All right, so now instead of all these coming just RR, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a list for all the keys. Okay, I'm going to create a list for all the keys that we have. Okay, so I'm just going to go up here. Let's create it over here, right? A list of all the keys that we have. So I'm going to do key equals and this is going to be a list of lists. Okay, so the first list is going to contain the first keys. Okay, so I want to create these first ones over here. That is QWERTYUIOP, right? And then the second one is going to be ASDF, right? So you can just create it for all the keys that are there, right? I mean, you just need to get the idea, and once you get the idea, you can just do it for all of them. Okay, so I'm just gonna do it like this. All right, I'm gonna put, so the first one is Q, the second one is the next one is W. All right, and then the next one again is gonna be E, right? So and the next one, so instead of actually creating them, I actually have this list. So let me just speed up the video and then paste it over there. Okay, so that's, I mean, this is the what I was doing it one by one, but it's gonna take a bit of time, so I just pasted it over there for you. Okay, so here you can see that we have list of listed. This is the outer bracket, right? There's the outer bracket. Okay, and then the inside there, you see that we have 3 lists. We have this list, okay, and then we have this list as well. Okay, and then we also have this list. All right, okay, so this is what we have. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to go here, right, where we're having the keys, right? So here where we're using to print the various keys over there, right? So instead of just I, we're gonna say that for key, right? For key in let me make it small. For key in say keys, right? So instead of range, now we have the keys over there, right? Did we name it as key? Yeah, it's keys. All right, so for key in keys, what we're going to do is that we're going to print them, right? We're going to print all of them, right? So don't forget this one, right? For key in keys is going to get this first list, right? We're just going to get this first list, which is going to have these kind of keys over there, right? But we want to also get all these other 3 lists over here, which is having other different keys. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add say the I over there, right? I'm going to add I over there, and then I'm going to enumerate this one, right? So enumerate will give us the key and also the position as well, right? So for instance, if I pick the first list, right, that is in the key, it will be index 0, and in that index 0 we also have the letter at the position 0, okay, inside that particular list, and it's going to do the same thing, right? The W here will be index 0, and the W here is going to be the key, right? So if I pick the key and if I go inside the key and I say 0, it's going to give me the first list, okay? But if I want to say the Q, then I have to also add another 0 over there, Okay, that's going to give me the Q. So if I want W, then this is going to be 1. If I want E, this is going to be 2. If I want R, then this is going to be 3, something like that. Okay, so this is I mean the idea, right? So let's go down here and then finish it up. Okay, so enumerate, and then our keys will be there. All right, so let's try and instead of R here, right, now we can write key. Okay, we can write key over here. So let me try to rerun this one and see how it goes. We have some error here, blah, 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 blah. Can't convert. Okay, so let's give the index 0 over here and see. Okay, now you see that everything works. Now you see that it's giving it to us. Okay, QWERTYUIOP. Okay, so that's the first one, because I came here to put 0 over there. So it's giving us the first list. Okay, it's giving us the first list. Oh, okay, from Q all the way to P. Okay, that's what it's printing right now. Okay, all right. So in order to get all of them, what I'm going to do is this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to add another for loop over here, right? And I'm going to do for let me actually put I here and put J here, so that it's just going to follow. I mean, it's going to be logical. Okay, so for I in say range, that is the range of all the lists that we have in keys, right? So length of key. Okay, something like that. Then I need to push the entire thing, right? Just highlight, press tab, that's it. Okay, so let me try to rerun this one and see. Okay, something is wrong over here. Let me see what is wrong. Oh, here I have to put here I instead of 0, and even here the height, right? So the height here, now I have to multiply the height by the I. Okay, and this one will be the J. Okay, let me do it like that. I think that's pretty much it, right? Let's run this one and see if it misbehaves. I will come back and then do it. All right, okay, now you see that we have all of them, right? We have all of them, but you can see that the keys are just up there, right? So let me just add some space over there. So I'm just gonna do plus let's say plus 50 up as well. Okay, and then let's rerun it. All right, good. Now you see that we have all of them over there, right? We have all of them over there, and then the hand is also being detected nicely over there. The hand is also being detected nicely. All right, so everything is everything in place. Now let's see the next step that we can take over here. All right, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a function, right, which we can use to draw, or instead of doing these things repeatedly over and over again, we're going to create one more function, and that function is going to help us draw all of them at once. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so let me go all the way here, right, and then up here I'm going to create I'm just going to create a function here. So I'm just gonna call it say draw all, right, something like that. I'm just gonna call it, right, which is going to accept the image and also the button list, okay, or the button list that we have. So let me even copy it towards the name button list. Okay, so once it accepts the image and then it accepts the button list, right, it's just gonna draw all of them for us. Now here we don't actually need to do it inside the loop. We can even do it outside the loop. So if I cut it, I can even put it over here. Okay, I can put it outside the loop. Okay, all right, so now everything is fine. What we're going to do, instead of these things, right, instead of drawing these things over here, instead of these things, I'm just gonna copy everything, right, and then let me just copy the entire thing. So I'm just gonna cut them, right? So we can now do them inside the drawing. Okay, we can now draw it inside of this function over here. Okay, so all these now when we do that, we need to get these positions. Okay, we need to get this, and these are going to come from the button list. Okay, they're going to come from the button list, all these values, which is the self dot position and then the size. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put over here let me delete this one, right, and then delete this one as well. Okay, so here I'm going to write for button, right, for button in button list, right, for button in button list. Okay, then I push the entire thing one more time, right, I press tab like that. Okay, so the position is going to come from whatever button that is going to be there, right, and the size is also going to come from that. All right, and the same way we're going to have it over here. Okay, and the text as well. So whatever text is on the button is what we are getting. Okay, so all this information are stored in this button, right, because it's an object which is based on this class. Okay, it's an object which is based on this class. So all this information is actually stored in the button. All right, so now what we have to do is to just write this one within our loop. All right, so let me copy it and then go and then call it within our loop. Remember, it's a function, so in order to work, for it to work, we need to call it. All right, so I'm going to call it inside our loop over here. All right, so we have the button list, right, and we have already declared it over here, which is going to contain all the the buttons that we're going to have over here, right, and then the image is the image that we are reading. Okay, so over here, let's go up here. Here we need to return, right, we need to return the image. Okay, we need to return the image. All right. Okay, so everything looks good right now so far. So let's just rerun this thing and see how it goes. Okay, so this is what we have. All right, this is what we have. Not much of a difference, but we've actually done quite a lot down there, right? When we put everything together, they will make sense. Now, what we have to check is whether we have a hand or not. All right, so if we put our hand on top of the screen, right, is it going to be able to detect, right? Is it going to be able to detect for us to be able to press the keys, right? So we need to actually check that one. So that's the next step that we're going to do over here, right? So we're going to check to see if whether we have a hand or not. So now let me just push these things down. So what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to do for LM list, that is the landmark list, right? So for LM list, right, for LM list, and also for button, right, for button in button list, right, for button in button list. Now we're going to write here the X and Y and also the width and then the height, because we need to know the location and also check whether our hands are appearing within that particular location of the button or not. Okay, so that's what we're going to write here. So we're going to write here XY is equal to button, right, button dot position. Okay, and then we're also going to write, say, W, that's the width and then the height, right, and that is going to be button dot size. Okay, button dot size. So we're going to use this information to check whether our finger is beating or not, right? But what is the finger? We need to actually identify what our finger is on the screen. Right now, the tip of our finger is indicated as pointer number 8, right? It's quite weird, but that is how it is. If you go to media pipe repository, right, if you go there, or documentation, if you come here and you go all the way down, you see that the tip of our finger over here is actually 8. Okay, and then the next one here is 12, the next one is 16, 20, right, and then we have 4 over there, right? So when I say the pointed finger over here, the tip of that is 8. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that the tip is 8, and you can see the next one here is also 12. All right, so we have around 20 different points that we track over here. All right, so now we need to track the tip of our finger. Okay, so now I'm going to do LM list, right, LM list, and then I'm going to select the 0.8. Okay, and since I'm looking for the X value is 0, and I'm going to check if this is between the X value, right, that is greater than X value, and also less than X plus the width. Okay, X plus W. Right, so if it is between that, right, if it is between the X value and also I'm just gonna copy the same thing, right? So that is the X value, right, and also the Y value, which is going to be at the position 1. Okay, so if that Y value is greater than the Y value, right, but less than Y plus the height, but less than Y y plus h. Right, if it is like this, so I'm going to precede this thing with if. Right, okay, that is if hand is in the right position, then we can change the color of the button. Okay, we can change the color of the button. So if the hand gets to the right position, for instance, if the hand is at the H, is at the G, okay, is at the G, that is the right position that I want. That is if I want to click on the G and the hand is at the right position, then they should change the color of the G button to a different color. Okay, instead of black, it will change it to a different color. All right, so that's basically what I'm doing here. All right, so let me just copy this. Let's go up, right. Let's just copy the same thing over here, then we can change the color respectively. All right, okay, so let's go down and then we're going to paste it over here. Okay, so instead of making everything black, so it's BGR, so B, so the blue one, I'm making it 255. Okay, so I'll change it to blue. All right, okay, so let's run it. The rest are just the same thing, so let's rerun again and see. We have an error here for LM list invalid syntax. So let's see. Actually, this is supposed to be if, right, if LM list. Okay, this is where the for should come. So this one should be if LM list. Okay, so let's just run it again. Okay, great. So now if you see that now if the hand gets there, the color changes to blue, right? The color changes to blue instead of how it used to be, right? And now you can see that, okay, the color changes to blue. As soon as the hand is there, it's able to detect a hand there, right? So if I put a hand at say R, right, if it's able to detect a hand there, then it will turn to blue. Okay, if I put a hand at say G, okay, at say B, at say V, right, it's gonna change the color over there, okay, respectively. Right, great. So let's go back. Now what we're going to do is to add a click, okay, because now all we have is just changing the color, right, but we don't really have the click, right? We cannot click it to see the letter that we are clicking. Okay, so we're going to do that part. All right, so for the click, what I'm going to do is that if the fingers, right, so for instance, if the two fingers, right, for instance, I have my hand over here, right? So if I get two fingers closer, right, like that, then it should click. Okay, so if you go here, right, for instance, if I get the 8, if the tip of this finger and the tip of this finger become very close, then I should consider it as a click. Okay, so if the distance between 8 and 12 is very small, then I should consider it as click. Okay, so I mean, you can also use say 4 and 8, or I mean whatever that you want to use, right? So that's what I'm going to do over here. So let's go down. Let's actually come somewhere here, and then here I'm going to use detector, right, detector dot, and then I find distance. Okay, detector dot find distance. So I'm going to find distance between the 8, right, the 8 and then the 12. All right, and then this thing, I'm doing it on the image that we have plotted. I mean, it's supposed to be small, the image that we have plotted. Okay, that's it. So once I get the distance between these ones, I'll measure to see if I should consider it as a click or not. All right, so this one is going to give me the distance. I'm just going to represent it as L, and then some other things that I don't really need. So I'm just gonna, I mean, two other things, I don't really need them, so I just represent them with underscore, but this is what I need, the distance. All right, so what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to write if L, that is the distance, okay, if the L is less than say 50, all right, if less than say 50, you can choose a different number. If it doesn't work for you, you can just come and change it. All right, if it's less than 50, then what I'm going to do is that once I consider it a click, I'm going to change the color, say from blue to green, okay, because blue is when it has been able to detect that I'm on that key, right? But if I press it, it's supposed to change from blue to green, okay, from blue to green. So that's basically what I'm going to do. Or if you want to know the values of the L, right, let me just comment this one out, right, and then I'll print this L for you to see so that you know which values to start with, right, which values to start with. So you can just print the L, All right, and then let me rerun. Okay, so once I put my hand over there, right, once I put a hand, we see that the numbers are printing. Okay, you can see down here the numbers are printing over there, right? The numbers are printing, so it's just trying to see the distance. Okay, you can see that it's trying to get the distance. So as soon as it gets any distance on my fingers, it's going to print it out. Okay, it's going to print it out down there. Okay, that's basically what you need to do. Okay, it's trying to find the distance between that those two hands, those two fingers. All right, and it's printing them over there. So you can check to see the least one. So here I'm seeing some 96 over there, right? So maybe you can start with those values, right? All right, so let me get rid of that, and then we'll continue from this one. So I'm saying that if L is less than 50, right, if M is less than 50. So I want it to be as close as possible. All right, then we will change the color, right? So let me bring this one again over here, right? So that as soon as we find that distance that we want, and then we want it to be a click, we change it from, say, blue to green. You can just use any colors that you want. All right, so instead of blue, right, instead of blue here is BG, so G is green. So I'm gonna make this one like this. All right, so let's try to run it this one and see if everything is fine. Okay, so let's see how it is going to happen. Okay, so as soon as it have the smallest, see that it has turned to green now, right? As soon as you find that smallest distance, that's those two hands are very close, it's going to turn to green. Okay, it's going to turn to green, right? That's what we want. So we want that green to be a press, represent that we have clicked on that on that keypad. All right, okay. So the next one that I'm going to do is to put a test. So if we if we click on something, right, so we are indicating that if we put a hand here, all right, and the distance is very close, we should make it a click. So if we click, so for instance, if I click T, right, the T should be printed out, just like if you type a keyboard T, you should see it on your on your screen that you have typed T. Okay, so I'm going to create some sort of a canvas right down here, so that when I click on anything here, right, it's going to be displayed down there respectively. All right, so let's see how we do that. So I'm going to just copy the same thing that we did earlier on. I just copy it. All right, and then I'm going to go down here, and this time you have to align it with this if. Okay, with this if, so somewhere here. Okay, and then I'll put it over there, right? And then let's change these things. So here the position, right, the initial position is going to be, right, I'm going to use 55, that is the height, and then the width is supposed to be 30.5, right? You can change it. If it doesn't work for you, you can just change it. Right, this is what I tried and it was working. Right, so the ending here, I tried, what I found to be working is something like 700, right? 700 and 450, right? Just try that one. If it doesn't work, you can just adjust, either decrease the 700, or increase it, or decrease this one and increase. You just adjust it, right? The color, let's just leave the color the same, right? And I think everything is fine. And then the test, right? This one we're gonna give the appropriate test over here. So I'm just gonna call it clicked test. Okay, click test. And once I do that, I have to declare this thing. That's why it is underlined over here. Let's take it and go all the way up somewhere here. We can declare it over there. Okay, and then initially just make it an empty test, right? So that when we click, it's going to accept whatever letter, and then going to output it. Okay, and this one here, just gonna change it to something like 60. 255, or maybe let's increase it to maybe 425. All right, and then the color, the thickness, let's leave that one. If it doesn't work, I'll come back to change it. So let me just rerun this thing and see so far. All right. So now this is what I wanted to do, so that I'll have a space where I can print out whatever I'm typing. All right. So now if I click on this one, R over here, right? Now you see that although I'm typing this, but it's not showing, right? Because we've not simulated it, right? We've not linked the key to the whatever canvas that we have created down there. Okay. So we need to now simulate it, so that as soon as it sends a click, it will print it out for us. All right, so let's do that part. So under here, right, I'm going to write this. I'm going to update this thing. So anytime I click on that, it's supposed to update for me. Okay, which is supposed to be the text on the button. Okay, which is supposed to be the text on the button. So let me just rerun this one and see. All right, so now let's try that. As soon as it detects the hand and then I click on it to turn it to green, you see that it's typing, right? You see that it's showing it down there. So as soon as any of the text gets typed, it's going to show down there, right? It's going to show down there, right? But you can see that even if I do it small, it types a lot of them, right? So I'm going to add something over here. So I'll go to the next line here, and then I'm going to add sleep. Right, and then what I'm doing is that if I type, for instance, if I click on say something, right, if I click on let's say T, right, it shouldn't keep on typing. It should wait a while before printing something else. Okay, so in that way I'll be able to give a distance over there. So I'm going to give sleep to be say 0.2, right, and I need to import that sleep because I don't have it. That's why it's showing red over there. So I'm going to do from time, right, from time import sleep. All right, so once I do that, then it's now going to work fine for us. All right, there's no red again. So let's try again. Okay, now I'm going to try to do it, and you see that this time, you see that I just typed 1, right? You see that this time it's working fine for us, right? It's not doing the way it used to do. Unless you double click it, then it will be on it a lot. You see that I just typed 1, right? But if you click it double, or triple, it's gonna show there. So this one works very fine for us. All right, so now what we want to do is that we don't want to only type on this canvas that we have given. For instance, if we open any notepad or anything, right? For instance, if I open say text editor, right, text editor over here, right, and if I open something like a blank page like this, if I click on Q over here, it's supposed to display on this one for me. Okay, something like that. Okay, it's supposed to display. So in order to simulate that or have that kind of a link between your keypad here and your text part or any document, right? Not only this, if you open any place that you want to type, it should be able, right? Even if I want to type a code here, if I can type it on this, right, and it will display over here. All right, so that's what I want to do now. All right, so for that we have to install one more library. Okay, so go to your preferences, and then here, right, you click on the plus, and we're going to install a library we call PyInput. So PyInput. Okay, that is there, and then you click on install. Now you see that it has installed successfully. Okay, so you just close everything. Now once you do that, you come back here, you go all the way up. Now we're going to import it. Okay, so you do from PyInput, okay, .keyboard. All right, and then here you import controller. All right, that's what you have to do. Now once you do that, and then you can initialize it over here. All right, let's put it somewhere. Let's put it under this one. All right, so you do I'm just going to name it as controller. Right, that's the only thing that you do. Or maybe let me just change the name. Let me just name it as a keyboard, right, so that it will be different. Right, so that's what you have to do. Now once you do that one, and then you just go let me copy it, right? So the name is keyboard. You go all the way here to where we have our click. So here, and then you put it over there, right? And then you do dot press. All right, you dot press, and what are you pressing? You're pressing the button with the text. So that is what you're pressing, right? That's all you have to do. So now let's rerun it and see. All right, so now if I go here, everything works fine, right? Once it detects my hand and the distance becomes closer, it's just gonna type it. Okay, see that it's there and it's working very fine for us. Okay, now if I open the test document, right, let me bring the test document. Okay, so if I click on anything over here, if I click on say G, you see that it's typing it over there, right? See that it's now simulated and it's able to type. It's able to type over there, right? Okay, now you see that it's typing over there, right? It's typing on that one for us. Okay, so even if I go here, right, let's say that I go down, right, and then I push, let me push it here so that you see it side by side. All right, let me push this one here and then bring this one a bit here, right, and then this one. Okay, so now if I type something here, you should be able to see this one also, right? You should be able to see it. You see that it's typing. Okay, so you can, simulate it to anything that you want, right? You can just simulate it to any way that you want. Okay, you can just simulate it like that. All right, you can just simulate it like that, and then you just keep on building on top of it, right? You keep on building on top of it. So you see how interesting is it? You can also change the color, right? So for instance, if we go up here, right, this one, we said we want it to be black. Okay, so if we go all the way here, let's see where we have our color, this, right, that is under the draw all. Okay, this one, maybe let me change it to say 255, and then I change this one to 255, right, and then rerun it. Okay, now you see how let me see name. Okay, that is trying to run this thing that we just typed, so let's delete it. All right, okay, now you see how it is now. So you can just change the color the way that you want. Okay, the way that you want, right? You can just change it. I use black because that's how normally our keyboards look like. Okay, so you can just change it the way that you want, right? You can just change it the way that you want. All right, let's try it on the notepad and see. Okay, now you see that it's there. See that it's typing over there. All right, it's typing over there. So it depends on how you place your hand, right? It can either come closer or it can go far, right? And it can still be typing, right? That's how interesting is it. That's how interesting it's gonna be. So you can just change the color, right, the way that you want. All right. Okay, so I hope you love the project and you're going to be creative, create it the way that you want to, adjust it, customize it to the way that you want it to be. Okay, now maybe you can add more keys. Back key, right, for instance, is important. Add back key where you can delete. If you type something and you don't want to, you can delete it. Add that one. Okay, make it your own challenge and do that. All right, so see you in the next tutorial. Have a nice day.